Hello, I'm Arviz Dev. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna start the next unit of 11th class. That is the personal Helicon for Michael Lingley. Michael Lingley. So it's a poem written by Seamus Heaney, and let's go to the text of this poem. So that before we will start our text, I request you to subscribe my channel and share all my videos which is here on my channel for the 11th class 10 art first. So this is the 17th unit. It means this is the second last unit of 11th class jkbose. So I request you to see and watch all my videos which are available here on my channel, and they are in a simple language, and I have started this campaign only for my student, and I have also make it more simple for you students so that you can achieve it more betterly. I have tried my best to do so. Thank you very much for giving me the support and giving me the positive attitudes toward this particular job, so that I will continue this job for you student. So that today we have this poem which I have told you the uh, you know uh, the title. So once again I will describe the title, that is personal helicon for Michaellangley. Michaellangley. It has been written by Seamus Heaney. Seamus Heaney was a very good poet of English. So let's start. We have here, as a child they could not keep me from wells, and all the pumps with the buckets and windlasses. I loved the dark drops and trapped sky, the smells of waterweed, fungus, and drank mouse. In these lines, the poet tells us about his childhood. The poet was immensely fascinated by the wells and old pumps with buckets and winches. He loved the dark depth, the trapped sky, and the smells of weeds and fungus and moss. Right? In the second stanza, the poet says, "One in a brickyard with a rotted bow top, I uh, I swear the rich crash with a bucket plummeted down at the end of a rope so deep you saw no reflection in it." Right? In these lines, the poet says that he remembers a well in a brickyard where the wooden board top had decayed or rotted away. The poet enjoyed the rich crash of the bucket as it crashed down into the well at the end of the rope. And it was so deep that even a reflection could not be seen. Right? Here it further says, uh, a shallow one under a dried stone ditch, fortified like a aquarium. When you dragged out long ropes from the soft mullock, a white face hovered over the bottom. Right? In these lines, the poet says that a shallow well under a dry stone ditch was made, uh, you know, uh, useful or very important as a aquarium, as an aquarium, right? Here, with the point pulled out the weed from the soft mollusk, he could uh, see a white face hover uh, in the water, right? In the fifth stanza, now to pray into roots to finger, seven to steer pig, eight nor narcissus into some spring. Is breath all adult dignity? I rhyme to see myself to set the dog a coin. In these lines, the poet says that he has grown up and he is an adult now. He considers it all beneath the dignity of an adult to do things like praying into roots of plants. Consider it all beneath the dignity of an adult to do things like praying into the roots of plants, fingering small and staring into some springs. This means that he has now stopped writing poetry which he wrote earlier. His poetic perceptions has become more mature in his years of adulthood, and he no longer looks into the well but writes poetry that makes the darkness echo and resound. That was all about the original text and its meanings. And now let's proceed ahead. So here in the text we have here discussion. In the discussion we have fill in the blank, right? Here the poet personal helicon is basically about the poet's journey from childhood in the adulthood. The poet here as a child was dashed by the wells and old pumps with the buckets and witches. He loved dog, death, trap sky, and smell of weeds, fungus, and moss. Here in the black place, here it is immensely fascinated, right? Further, he remembers a well in a brickyard where the board top had rotted away. The poet enjoyed the rich crash of bucket as it crashed down into the well at the end of rope. A shallow well under a dry stone ditch was fortified as in an aquarium. When the poet when the poet pulled out the weed from the soft mud, he could see a white face hover in the water. This is the fill in the place. Fill in the blank. And in the fill in the blank, we have to fill white place hover in the well. Sometimes poet here would call out to hear the echoes of his own voice. Once a red rain across his reflection secured him. But now the poet moved away from the poetry he wrote when he was a younger to more mature kind, and he no longer prize into a wealth, but write poetry that make the darkness echo. Right in the second discussion, we have to start now. Sorry. This is a comprehension questions text based, and here the first question is the poem is written on a note of, we have option here, revulsion, nostalgia, melancholy. So here nostalgia is the appropriate word because nostalgia means which is based on the past. So the story which we have here is based on the past. So here we call it the nostalgia, right? What is the significance of the title Personal Helicon? The title Personal Helicon is a quite apt and significant. It indicates two things. First, uh, poetic inspirations, according to the Greek mythology, comes from the mountain ranges called Helicon. Second, it suggests for the poet that his life, as lived in the childhood in the country yard, was Helicon on the personal level, right? With his becoming adult, his poetry has undergone a change and it also become adult, and the things that adapted to him in the childhood no longer appeal to him, right? Here the third question: why did the poet find wells and old pumps fascinating in his childhood? It is a very important question according to the examination point of view. It is a well-known fact that the child are often attracted by the wells and old pumps, ponds, and streams. Such things have a charm of their own for the boys and who are generally playful. And the poets also found their charms irresistible, and nobody could prevent the child poets from going to them, and he liked those things for their depth and echoes. Here, question number 4 we have. It says, why did the poet find one of the wells scary? The poet found one of the wells frightening because once a rat came there out upon and tall fox gloves and slapped across his reflection. Here we have question number 5. That is, what differences do you note between the poet as a childhood and the poet as a mature adult? We see a great change, and the poet is a mature adult. He is different from what he was as a child. Now he has moved, you know, away from the poetry that he wrote as a child. He is no longer interested in wells. As a grown up adult, he writes poetry that makes the darkness echo. Now he writes to see himself, right? Discussion thought. Here we're gonna start, or we're gonna discuss here in these poetic techniques. Poets and writers often make an illusion. What is illusion? It means a little bit of superstitiousness, right? Or references to any other time, work, person, etc. In order to help the reader call up the relevant association. For example, plan ahead. It wasn't training when Nuh built the ark. Here, Richard crushing alludes to the great flood and Noah's building of the ark ahead of the flood to save the species from extinction. Now read the personal Helicon again and underline the allusion to other literary work or character and also discuss their relevance. One's allusion that we find in the poem Personal Helicon is Helicon and big-eyed uh, Narcissus. Helicon or Helicon stands for a source of inspiration for poet, and in this case of the poet, the resource of inspiration is his childhood when he wrote quite differently from what he writes now. Narcissus alludes to the poet's tendency to see, himself and his image in the depth of the poet and wells, pump and well, and the here this becomes clear from the allusion. And in these lines, I rhyme to see myself to set the darkness echoing, right? And the fourth discussion, here reference to the context is more important. And as a child, they could not keep the wells and old pumps with the buckets, with the buckets and wind laces. Uh, I loved the dark drop, trapped skies, smells of waterweed, fungus, and dog mouths, right? Here, explain the meanings of the phrase, they could not keep me from wells. Here, the phrase means that the wells and the pumps had the greatest charm for the poor, and no could stop him from going them or going there to see them, right? And they had an irresistible erection for them, right? Here the question number B part of it is the same questions discussions here. The B part is mention any four reasons: smell, reflection, sounds, the life in wells. Why the poet found well fascinating? Explain the reason, right? Sorry. uh, here the poet finds the wells fascinating, and they charmed him for the smell of the whirlwind, fungus, dog mouses, and that were found around. And he also liked them for the rich crash when a bucket would come down at the end of a rope. And he also got fascinated by the deep depth of the wells, and they were so deep that he could see no reflection in them. And he liked some of the wells for and other reasons. When he called into them, his call would resound, and the echoes had a clean music in them, right? Here, the C part of this same stanza, what is the poet's attitude toward the wells in this stanza? Does the attitude change as an adult? Yes, the poet's attitude toward the wells in this stanza is one of the greatest liking from them, and he feels irresistible, drawn by them. And but this attitude toward wells changes as he grows into the mature adult. Here, the second stanza, it says, "Now to pray into the roots, to finger slime, to start to steer big-eyed narcissus into some springs. I beneath all adult dignity, I rhyme. To see myself, to set the darkness echoing." Here, the first part of this stanza is, or A part, you call it, what is that point finds beneath all adult dignity. When the poet was a child, he would, have an interest to see the roots, fingers, slimes, and steers into some springs like big-eyed narcissus. But now, when the poet has become a mature adult, he pined well. He pined doing all these things below his dignity, right? Here we have the B part of the same stanza, who was uh, Narcissus. Why does the poet compare himself to the Narcissus? Narcissus in Greek mythology was a handsome youth, and he fell hopelessly into love with his own handsome face as he saw it reflect in a pool as he gazed in fascination, right? To unable to move himself from the image, he gradually pined away. And the poet compares himself to the Narcissus because as a child he found the wells and the old pumps as fascinating as the Greek youth had found his image reflected in a pool. Here, the C part. Why does the poet write poetry? The poet writes poetry to see himself and to set the darkness echoing. He wants to discover himself and read and reflect his thought through his poem. Right? So we will come to the examination style question on the passage from the poem. Right? Here, in the first stanza, as a child, they could not keep me from wells and old pumps with the buckets and wild laces. I learned the dark drop, trapped sky, the smell of water-weird fungus and drank mouse. What is the significance of the title Personal Helicon? The title is significant and appropriate. It indicates the two things. First of all the poetic inspirations came from the mountain ranges called the Helicon. Second, it suggests that for the poet, his life, as lived in the childhood in the country yard, was Helicon on the personal level, and with his becoming an adult, his poetry has undergone a change, and the things that appealed to him in the childhood no longer appeal to him. Right? Here we have the B part of the same stanza explain the meaning of the phrase, "They could not keep me away, or they could not keep me from the well." It means that the wells and the pumps had a great attraction for him. No one could stop him from going there. Why did the poet find wells and old pumps fascinating in his childhood? It is a well-known fact that the children are often attracted by the wells and all the pumps and ponds and streams. Such things have a charms of their own for the boys who are generally playful. And the poet also found their charms and irresistible. Nobody could prevent the poet as a child from going to there and to see them. And he liked those things for their depth and their echoes, right? Mention any four reasons: smell, reflection, sounds, the life in a well, for which the poet found the well fascinated. As the poet fascinated by the wells of water, weird fungus, and the dark moss that were found around, and he also liked them for the rich crash when the bucket would come down the end of the rope, and he also got fascinated by the deep depth of the well, and they were so deep that he could not see no reflection in them. And he liked some of the wells for in other reasons. When he called into them, his call would resound, and echoes had a clean music in them, right? Here we have another question. C part, sorry, that is the E part. What is the poet's attitude toward the well in this stanza? Does the attitude change as an adult? The poet's attitude toward well in the stanza is one of the great thing, and he feels drawn by them. But this attitude underwent a change as he grew into a mature adult, right? Here, see, sorry, it's a second stanza. One in a brickyard with a rotted broad top. I swear the rich crash when a bucket and plummeted down at the end of a rope so deep you saw no reflection in it. He remembered. Here the question is first part or the A part. What does the boy remembers about a brickyard? He remembers a well in a brickyard where the wooden board top had decayed or rotted away. Right. The B part of the same stanza. Sorry. Sorry. Here B part. What did the poet enjoy then? He enjoyed the rich crashes of the bucket as it crashed down into the well at the end of the rope. How can you say, this is the C part, how can you say that the well was very deep? It was so deep that even a reflection could not be seen. Stanza third. A shallow one under a dry stone ditch, fortified like an aquarium, when you dragged out long route from the soft milk, a white face hovered over the bottom. Right here, the third stanza's first question, A part. What was the shallow one under a dry stone ditch? It was a shallow well, right? It was a shallow well, right? Here, the second question is. The second question is here. What was, sorry, it's not a second question, it's a third question here. Sorry, I'm sorry. What could the poet experience when he pulled out the wave from the soft mold? When he pulled out the wave from the soft mold, he could see a white face hover in the water. Right? Here the fourth stanza. The fourth stanza, sorry, it says here, others had echoes, give back your own calls with a clean new music in it, and one was a scarce sum of their hour of puns and dolls. Foxglove, a rat slapped across my reflection. Here the fourth stanza's first question, who had echoes? Who had echoes? Other wells had echoes, right here. What did the poet's experience when he calls out into them? Sometimes the poet could call out to hear the echoes of his own voice, right? Here, C part. What was once scaresome for the poet? Once a rat ran across his reflection, it was prideful for him. Here, the fifth stanza, and it is the last stanza. Sorry. Here it says, once a rat ran across his reflection. It was a prideful for him. Now to pray into the road, to finger the slam, to steer big eyed Narcissus, uh, Narcissus into some springs is beneath all adult dignity. I rhyme. To, to see myself, to set the darkness echoing. Here, first question of the same stanza is, what is it that the poet finds beneath all adult dignity? As a child, the poet would pray into the would pray into the roots, fingered slime, and stares into some springs like big-eyed Narcissus. But as an adult, he pined doing all these things as some things below his dignity, right? Here the question which have already discussed, who was uh, Narcissus. Narcissus, and why does the poet compare himself to Narcissus? Narcissus was a young, very beautiful of a Greek mythology, handsome man. He hopelessly was in love with his own, face, so that he compared himself with that, Narcissus. Here we have the last question of the same stanza, that is the C part. Why does the poet write poetry? Right? He writes poetry to see himself and to select the darkness echoing. He wants to discover himself and read, reflect his thought through his poem. Right? This is end of the 17th lesson, and inshallah we will discuss later on the last lesson or unit of the English jkbose 11th class. Till now, I'm saying goodbye to all of you. Still stay with my channel, subscribe my channel, share all my videos, tell to your friends to subscribe my channel, share my links to your friends and to your relatives who are really interested in learning the English. Still, I'm here saying goodbye, but remember one thing. I'm gonna start the grammar course, and at the end of this, course, lecture course, which I am going to prepare for the 11th class, I will start the English grammar with the Urdu, translation. It would be really helpful for you guys. Thank you very much.